Hi everyone, welcome to our next region in the course, which is South and East Asia. This is an enormous region which is incredibly diverse, and many textbooks treat it as multiple regions. So really this is going to just be like a cursory overview of this region. And here in this picture we can see the Grand Palace in Bangkok, Thailand, which is quite impressive if you ever have a chance to see it. I got the chance to visit it several years ago now. And so when we look at how we define the region, it is again very, very diverse. And many books break this up into three regions. And so this region is more defined by what it's not than what it is. So when we look at these three subregions, we have South Asia, which includes India, Pakistan, um, uh, Nepal, Bangladesh, and we're going to include Afghanistan in this region as well, not as part of the Middle East. And then we have East Asia, China, North Korea, South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, which we'll talk about later, and Mongolia. And then we have Southeast Asia, lots of island nations, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, and Myanmar, also known as Burma. And so we look at the physical landscape of the region. It is shaped by volcanic and tectonic activity, very active region. And so we have lots of big mountains and lots of islands. We have tons of plate boundaries in the region that are very active. We have the Eurasian plate, the Pacific plate, the Philippine plate, Australian plate, the Indian plate, which I'll talk about in a second, is crashing into this Eurasian plate. Um, the Himalayas is India colliding with the Eurasian plate. So we can see here 71 million years ago, it was quite far away from the Eurasian plate. And now it is just being completely pushed into this Eurasian plate. And so that crust is folding because of it. And so there's no subduction or anything going on here. You just have two continental plates pushing together, and therefore we're getting the Himalayan mountains. So again, there's no subduction, there's no volcanoes here. We just get very, very tall, mountains with the Himalayas. We do have lots of subduction zones, particularly around Japan, the Philippines, and Indonesia. We can see here the aftermath of uh, the earthquake in Kobe, Japan in 1995, and then the tsunami that hit Japan in 2011 that was particularly devastating. So lots of earthquakes and volcanoes and tsunamis in the region. But this volcanic activity gives us really, really good soil for farming. And so here are some active volcanoes that are in the region. You're actually going to watch a very short video of a volcanic eruption in the region that was a pyroclastic flow that looks something like this, which is a big cloud of ash from a volcano. The interior of Asia is not flat, but there's no tectonic activity happening there right now, so there's no new mountains forming. And so the region is primarily shaped by erosion. It is in the process of eroding away, as we can see here with the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, or these karst landscapes in the Yunnan Plateau of China. So we have these huge inland plateaus. And when we look at the region, excuse my font, it's a little messed up there, compared to the United States, um, the northern part and parts of China are at a very similar latitude to the United States, but lots of the region is equatorial and tropical. When we look at the climate of the region, it is always rainy near the equator. You're getting that ITCZ, that intertropical convergence zone, that area of low pressure that's dropping lots and lots of precipitation. We have lots of monsoon climates in the region, so where you get these really, really wet summers, very dry winters. 60% of the agriculture in India is dependent upon the seasonal monsoons. They do not have irrigation. So these weather patterns are very, very important. And then we get a savanna climate these grasslands with a mix of trees that is inland from the monsoon zones. East Asia is very similar to the US at about the same latitude. When we think about Japan, lots of similar climates as us. And then we have this dry northern interior of the country, of the region, excuse me. It's far from the ocean, and mountains block moisture, so we're not getting very much precipitation there. So these monsoons are very, very important to the region. In the winter, you have the winds coming from the north, and it is extraordinarily dry. That air blows from that Siberian high pressure system that has no moisture in it. In the summers, it's very, very, very wet. So if you look at a climograph here of Myanmar, here are their summer months, lots and lots and lots of precipitation, very little in the winter. Um, During the summer months, the humid air is blowing from that low up to that subtropical high and just dragging all of this moisture up onto the Indian subcontinent. Rivers in the region are plentiful and important. You have lots of big mountains and many humid interiors, so lots of very long rivers. Most of them start up in that Tibetan plateau. And so rivers are really the lifebloods of Asian countries. They are very, very important, many of them considered sacred. Um, and so we are going to end there with the physical geography of the region. You're going to take your map quiz this week. Um, and then that will be it for this module once you are done with your country journal.